Hello friends, welcome to PDF for Exams YouTube channel. Today is day 29, we are learning geography, and in this video we will learn about transport. So first let us know what is this transport system or transportation. So in general terms or in simple term, transport means link between producing center and consumer center. Now what are these producing center and consumer center? So there are several finished goods that we use. Finished good as in you are using mobile to watch this video, or else you are using laptop to watch this video. You use copy, pen for studying, you use books. There are several other finished products, like you eat something like ready-made products, and there are certain goods which are available in market and which are produced in certain industries. So every product has got its own industry, but they are located far away from the place where people are residing. People reside in villages, apart from villages people reside in cities, towns. So these are the places where people reside, but these goods, the finished goods, are being produced somewhere in outer skirt. That means the places which are far away from these places. Now when these goods are produced, they needs to be reach these people so that they can be used, or else there would be no meaning of producing these goods. So we have a well connecting or well linkage between this producing centers and consumer centers, that is known as transport. Or else in simple term, if you want to understand transport, it means the movement of person or goods. What is moving? Persons are moving or goods are moving from one place to another place with some mean. And that's mean. What is that mean? That mean can be animals, as we know in primitive time, and even at now you can see some animals which are used for transporting of goods from one place to another place. And even in sports also some animals are used, like horse. Donkeys are used for transportation of some goods. Apart from animals, we have vehicles. These vehicles consist of motorcycles, cars, trucks, and many more vehicles are available. And apart from these means, we too have some air transportation system which are being developed in modern era, and ocean transportation system is also there, in which ships, streams and all are used for movement or transportation. Okay, so this is the transportation definition. So what else apart from this we need to know? So this movement, as I said, that there should be movement of people or goods from one place to another place. So how this movement will take place? So for movement, we have to move on some certain surface, or in whatever the movement, the mean of movement, on whatever surface they can move. So in this we have three kind of area where transportation can be done or transportation can take place. What are those? Just a minute, I'll tell you. Let me select the pen. Okay. So we have a land transportation system, we have ocean or water transportation system, and we have air transportation system. Under land, we have roads and railways. You know what are roads and railways? We'll explain them individually in detail. In oceans, we use ships, and apart from oceans, there is inland waterway, or you can say the rivers and lakes which are used for transportation. Those come under water transportation. And next is air. We know airplanes are being used for transportation of human as well as some goods. Okay, so these are the modes of transportation, and apart from that there is an important mode of transportation that is called pipelines. These pipelines are used for transportation of fuels, those fuels which are liquid in nature or gaseous in nature. These fuels are transported from one place to another place using these pipeline. In gaseous fuels we have natural gases, whereas in liquid we have petroleum or crude oil which are being transferred from one place to another place. So these pipelines are built between the continents. It's not necessary that it will be built within the country. These pipelines can be built within the countries or continents also. And same is the case with ocean routes, lands and air. Wherever there is land connectivity, land routes will be made. Ocean connectivity are almost everywhere. We'll see that later in detail. And air connectivity is almost present everywhere. Even the places which are not easily connected through these land and ocean transport, we can visit that places with air connectivity, because air is present everywhere, and the airplane or helicopters can easily move to the places depending on certain condition. We'll see them later. Fine. And the importance of these transportation, these totally depend upon the types of good that has to be transported. Types of goods. So if these goods, the types means the nature of goods, whether they are economically high value or they have low economic value. If they have very economic low value, then this will be transported through roads, or you can say the cheaper mode of transportation, so that the cost of the good doesn't increase anymore. whereas the products which are of very high exchange value, those are to be transported very easily, very carefully. Okay, so this was just an introduction. Now moving to the first kind of transportation, or first mode of transportation, we have ocean transportation. Now why this ocean transportation was built? So in ancient period, when there were travelers used to visit from one continent to other continent, just discovering the continents, and oceans were also used for trades. Trades means what? Trades are done for development. See, every country are running after development, and this development totally depend upon trade, and these trades depend upon transportation. This transportation can be of any kind. So in ancient period, or in starting period, people used to travel from one place to another using this ocean mode of transportation with big ships and all. Okay, and what are the benefits of this ocean transportation? In ocean transportation, we know there is very less friction offers. This water body offers very less friction. If you have studied science, you will understand this very well, how this friction plays a role and how can this save our fuel. So in case of road or railways, since the wheels are directly moving on the roads, friction is acting over here. Because of this, heavy use of fuels are required over here. And in case of these ocean transportation in water, these allow less friction. That means less frictions are available in water body. For that, the transportation is cheap in nature apart from the road and railways. Next is the connectivity. As you can see in the map, let me bring up the map so that you can see. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the map and it's very clear. As you know, all the continents in the world, they are connected along the oceans, even in earlier period and now. If you have studied geomorphology, you know very well how our continents were made. Earlier we had a single body, and after that they started splitting, and now we have several continents. But these continents are connected with each other. All the oceans are present all around. This is very factual information. We know 97% of our surface, Earth, is covered with water. Only 3% of area is on the land. So it's very clear ocean or water will be present everywhere. That's why the mode of transportation, this ocean mode of transportation, is easy and cheaper to be used. Now there are certain routes which are decided because these ships can't move here and there, so that there should be a fixed routes. These routes are not like road and railways. They need not be meant, but they are just the directional wise. For example, if someone has to move from India to South America, then this route can be followed. So they should know the direction that North America lies west to the India, if we see according to this map. Okay, if we take this reference over here, fine. So that's why these several routes were built. And one more benefit of this ocean transportation was that, what I've already told, no specific routes has to be built. Only the ports are the significant feature in ocean transports, because ports are the parking area of ships. In water bodies, all kinds of ships move, and these ships has to be parked somewhere so that goods and whatever has to be transported can be loaded and unloaded from the ships. Fine. So these ports are very important, and these has the major infrastructure cost. Apart from port, the ship is the other cost, and this saves lots of costing of transportation. Fine. Now let's see what are the major routes which are available. So the first important route which is available globally is North Atlantic route. Now we can just see the route by the name itself. You will understand how or where these ships move or where these transportation happen if you see the names carefully. So in North Atlantic routes, so this North Atlantic Ocean, where it is present, if you see on the map, it is present between few continents, that is Africa, South America, North America, and European countries. Over here, this entire ocean is called as North Atlantic Ocean. So whatever ocean transportation taking place in these area, for example, if you have to move from south of Africa to European countries, these routes can be taken. These ships can move in this ocean from this place to this place. Or else if you have to move in somewhere in Europe, or you have to move in North America, so these routes can be used for traveling. So that's why this route is called as North Atlantic route. Moving to next route, so we'll see all the routes on the map so that you can easily understand. Next route is Europe, Western Europe, Mediterranean, and Indian Ocean. Now by the name again it is clear where is this Western Europe. So here somewhere at these places, these are the Western Europe, part of Western Europe. Fine. And Mediterranean is a sea. Where is Mediterranean Sea? Here is it Mediterranean Sea. And Indian Ocean, and here we have Indian Ocean. Just a minute, let me scroll up so that entire image is visible. So now the ships moving in these area, Mediterranean Sea, in the northern part. This is, sorry, the western. This is the western part of Europe. I told it wrong place. This is the western part of Europe. So the ships moving in these area in Indian Ocean. So these routes will be termed at Western European, Mediterranean and Indian Ocean routes. Fine. Let's see what is the next route. Next is Cape of Good Hope. So Cape of Good Hope lies somewhere in the southern part of Africa. Here we have Cape of Good Hope. Oh, I hope it's not visible. Just a minute, let me bring up the image. Okay, fine, the image is visible now. So the routes, you can see the routes are made over here. Ships moving in these routes or in this direction, these would be called as Cape of Good Hope route. Fine. Moving to next route, the ocean routes which is important is Atlantics, South America and East Coast route. Now again in the image you can see what names we have. We have Atlantic, so here we have North Atlantic Ocean. South America, this is South America, and East Coast. What are the East Coast? So the coasts which are lying on the eastern side would be called as East Coast. So these routes can be termed as Atlantic, South America, East Coast route. Okay. Now next route, what is the next route? The next important ocean route is Pacific, South America, North America, European route. Again, by the name itself it is clear, you just have to remember the names, and if you see on the map you can see where these continents are available or where these oceans are available, and the routes which are being made in these oceans and continent will be called these Pacific, South America and North America, European route. Again, similarly, West Coast and North America route, you can see on the map what kind of routes or what kind of ocean routes are available. Similarly, Trans-Pacific route. What are these Trans-Pacific route? The routes between the or among the Pacific Ocean, Indo-Pacific Ocean would be called as Trans-Pacific route. Next is Caribbean route, Caribbean Gulf route. So there is a Caribbean Ocean and few Gulf countries. So the ocean routes in these area would be termed as Caribbean Gulf route. You can see on the map, you can pause the video and you can see what are routes available. What is the next important route? The other important is Suez Canal. So the Suez Canal, what are the canal? Canals are the artificially body which are made for transportation, or you can just say connecting two areas. For example, we have a huge river over here and huge river other side, and we have a small land mass in between. But the transportation within two seas, if you want to transport some goods from this place to this place, either you have to transport through the other direction, or else if you make an artificial linkage between these two continents or these two, sorry, not continents, oceans, you can easily move from one ocean to other ocean. Connectivity would shorten and the distance would be reduced to short a long extent actually. So for that very purpose, the Suez Canal was made. If you see on the map where it is, so you can see it is present somewhere in Africa. There is a peninsular region. Just a minute, let me take a pen. So this is a peninsular region over here, you can see. So at this place this Suez Canal was built. It joins the Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. These are the two major seas and it is joined by this Suez Canal. And this Suez Canal reduces the distance of these countries. For example, some countries from this Yemen, Saudi Arabia, if they have to go to Europe by ocean, they can use the Suez Canal route to reach European countries. Fine. Let's see a few factual information about this Suez Canal. So it started construction in 1859 and it was completed or it was open after 10 years, that is 1869. So it took along almost 10 years to build or construct this canal. And if we talk about the dimensions, so it is 160 kilometers long, 60 meters wide and 10 meters deep. So the length, if we go over here on the map, so the length of the Suez Canal is 160 kilometers and width is 60 meter. This width we talk about, this would be 60 meter and depth is 10 meter. Fine. So this is all about the Suez Canal which is present. The next important canal is Panama Canal. Where is this Panama Canal? If you see on the map, it is present between the South America and North America, somewhere at the junction. Here we have Panama Canal, and if it is joining these two countries, the ocean routes which are joining these two countries. What are the significance feature or what are the factual information of Panama Canal? So the construction was about to start in 16th century, but for execution it took little longer time. It is 82 kilometers long, 16 meter wide and 12 meters deep. Fine. So this tells about the Panama Canal. Now the other important mode of transportation is inland waterway. What I've already told, inland waterways means the routes which are used for within the land area. For example, if we have a country, if we talk about India, we'll see India separately, but over here I'm just drawing a rough map. So whatever the rivers are present, for example, we have Ganga river, we have Brahmaputra river, we have a few Narmada river. So the these rivers, which when we use for transportation, would be called as inland transportation. What are the significance of this inland transportation? So as we know, oceans are the major mode of transportation for goods and other things. So whenever they come to some port, for example, if they come to Mumbai port, Gujarat port, Chennai port, Kolkata port, whenever they are unloaded at this place and we still have to move these goods to inner part of a country, these waterways can further use for transportation of good and connecting to the major cities wherever these inland waterways are available. Fine. Now, what would be the factors which are affecting the inland waterways? See, everywhere ships or streams of boat cannot move. They need specific dimension of the water body to move on. So the width and depth of the stream would be very important factor which affects the waterway or transportation of inland waterway. Because if a river or any lake or whatever water body is there, if it is not deep enough or the width is not enough for movement of ships, then transportation cannot take place in this area. So there should be enough width and depth of the rivers or canals so that the ships or whatever streamers and whatever we are using for transportation can move along in this rivers. The other prominent factors which affect the inland waterway is direction of the flow. So for example, there are several rivers which are east flowing, few rivers flow westwards. So in the direction of river, as we know, if water is moving eastward and we have to transport good from this west to east, then it would be easy for us. The fuel consumption would be less as we are flowing along with the flow of river, and the ship or the boat will automatically flow along with the flow of river. But if you have to move opposite, if you have to load goods from here and take back inland in opposite direction, that will increase the cost of the fuel. That's why direction also matters in inland waterway. Apart from this, relief of river and canal bed. What is bed? The land area. For example, if river is flowing in this part, the land area, the base of the river is called as bed. So if base is not smooth, then the ships which are moving along this river can get stuck somewhere. Apart from that, obstacle due to bend and falls. As we know, rivers, they don't move in single direction or they don't move in straight direction. We have studied in geomorphology, not in geomorphology, in physical features, that these rivers sometimes meander. This meandering happens, and sometimes due to this meandering, oxbow lakes are also formed. We have studied all these features. So because of this meandering or uneven flow of river can affect the transportation system of inland waterway. Now we'll talk about the inland waterway in several continents, starting with Asia. In Asia, the important or prominent waterway is present in China, Southeastern Asia, and they are very significant because roads and railways are not very much present in this area. For that very purpose, inland waterways are used, or they are very significant in these places. In China, we have Yangtze River, which flows more than 4,800 kilometers and connect many tributary rivers, and there are many important waterways. This waterway is very important for China as it flows through long distance and it connects through many other small rivers, many other tributaries. So this plays a kind of water highway for them. Okay, now next is Southeastern Asia. Southeastern Asia means the Asian countries which lies in east, okay, like Japan, Korea. So these are the Southeastern Asia. So over here we have Mekong, Menam and Irrawaddy river system are important waterway. And why they are important? Because of dense settlement along the river. All kind of settlement are present mostly. So these settlements are very dense, and roads and railway are not very much increased over here. They are not built in huge fragments. That's why this waterway is important in Southeastern Asian country also. And in India we have Ganga and many other rivers like Brahmaputra. We have many rivers, but Brahmaputra is the very important river which plays as inland waterway for Indian countries. The next mode of transportation that we are going to study is railways. You know railways very well because you have been traveling. If you are in India, if you are watching this video, and you might have traveled from one place to another place using railways. So in railways are divided into several parts. When we will study about the railways in India, we'll see those parts. But for now, let's see what are the factors over here, how railway transportation factors. So the railway transportation factors on the level of living standard and scientific development. So in any country, if any country is developing, almost all the developing countries are still making their railways. But in case of developed countries like USA, Russia, those countries already have a good chain of railways. So the living standard and scientific development matters for the railways. Next is the level and capacity of utilized natural resources. So since these railways are used for transportation of huge quantity of goods, so wherever availability of natural resources would be there, building railway at that region would be very helpful. Size and density of the population of region. So these populations, so if we don't have enough population for passenger train, so those passenger train or those routes for passenger train won't be built in that area. Nature, relief and topography. So these railways has to be built on land. The tracks are built on the land surface, so of course the relief, that means whether it is hilly area or sand area, these are to be very important. And as we know, there are negligible land railways in sand, or you can say in desert area, or else in mountainous region. In mountainous region also we don't have much railway system. Okay, now we'll see distribution of railways in the world, how these railways are distributed. So these railway distribution of railway differs from one continent to another continent. That is very obvious, because all continents, the countries in every continent are not developed. Few continents are very much developed, whereas few are still developing. And apart from this, the physiographic region, like few countries or few continents are more have uneven surface, few continents have plain surface. So these physical feature will also hamper the growth or development of railways. So let's see. And we have already seen that mountainous and desert area have no railways. So these railway development has not taken place because of these condition. In Europe, former USSR, former USSR and USA have nearly 2/3 of rail routes in the world. So this is again very important factual information over here, that Europe, USSR and USA, these three countries, or these three major countries, have 2/3 of entire railway which is present in world. Apart from this, Asia has 12%, Latin America consists of 12%, Africa 5%, Australia and New Zealand only consists of 3% of total railway which are available. Now talking about the distribution, so railways in Anglo-America, so these are just distribution, that means how railways are distributed where they are meant. So I'll just go through them quickly and we'll move to the next kind of transportation. So USA, it ranks first in railway mileage. It claims more than 30% of total railway which are present. So this was important over here. And Atlantic coast to eastern part of Great Plains. In USA, the railway, it starts from coast to coast. For example, if North America, if we go to map, let me show you a map, we'll understand this better on a map. So for example, this is North America. So this railway, these travel from coast to coast. It will go along one coast to another, it's not pen. It will go along the one coast to other coast, fine. So it is in case of North America. Similarly, in USA, you can just read on where all these railways are present. There is nothing to tell. You have to see the map and major railway segments which are present in those continents or those countries. Again, in Asia, it consists of 15% of total world railway, and most of this lies in South Asia. India is a part of South Asian country or continent, fine. So India, China and Japan are important region where these railway have been developed till now. Now the next mode of transportation is air transportation. Now how this air transportation, so technologically we are advancing day by day, and with this advancement we have many kind of airways. We have some cargo planes. Cargo planes are used for carrying goods. Apart from this, we have passenger planes, and we too have in passenger plane again itself we have some planes which are moving at faster speed, which are moving at slower speed. And there is one more, there are many planes like supersonic planes which travel at speed of sound. So there are several kind of technological advancement in air transport which can be used for transportation. So these air transportation can be used for commercial purpose as well as for human transportation. So they are present domestically as well as at international levels also. And it is very well said that no place in the world is more than 35 hours away. That means you can fly from one place to any place in the world. On the map you can go anywhere within 35 hours. But the point is that you have to do very good planning so that you can move within 35 hours from one point to another point anywhere in the world. So this is the significance of air transport. Now, what are the significant factors which are responsible for air transport? So for air transport, we again don't need to build any kind of route, but still, since it is traveling in air, a specific route using the signals or frequencies has to be built so that no plane collapses with each other. Apart from that, we need a plain land where these planes can easily land, because these plane needs a good runway for landing or taking off. Apart from this, climatic condition also impact the transportation of these airlines, as in foggy grounds it become very difficult for any plane for safe landing. Fine. Now we'll see the dividing, or the how this air transport is divided. Again, this is a very factual information. I'll read few, and rest you can read on your own. So if we talk about the air transport in USA, how it is distributed, so it is connecting coast to coast. Again, as it was in case of railways, here also air transport covers from one coast to another coast. If you go back onto the map and see, if North America, USA is divided, USA map is something like this. So it will cover from one coast to another coast. Every coast will be connected with air transport system. And as I said, there are several kind of air transport. Cargo planes from Miami, New Orleans, other USA carry articles such as poultry. See, these planes are even used for carrying products like poultry, cattle, automobile, machinery, refrigerator. That means huge machines are also used, that they can be also transported using this air transport. It's not that only small objects can be used for transportation using these airplanes. Now there are certain factors which are responsible for development of air transport in USA. That means why air transport has been developed in USA. Now one thing you need to remember, that these air transport are developed in those countries which are economically very well. See, as we are staying in India, and you know, in our country very less people travel using airplane, because it is very costlier as compared to the railways. Although it consumes less time, but still the cost has to be a factor for traveling in developing countries. So large size of country, if the country size is very large and people has to travel from one end to another plane, so air transport system has to be developed. So USA is a very huge country, that's why air transport was developed in this country. USA too had a large population, high standard of living. It has high standard of living, great development industry, large international trade, participation of science and political, of financial, international, very large tourist travel. So these factors are responsible for building a good system of air transport in USA. Fine. Now air transport in Europe. Again, as we can see, Western Europe, it has nearly 1/4 of world's international airline and 1/5 of the world domestic territorial airlines. So here this is an important factual information. And this United Kingdom has 15 airlines. That means 15 airline companies are running in United States. So these are factual information about the air transport in Europe. Talking about the air transport in India, so in India we have agreement with 93 countries. These air transport airplanes from India can travel across 93 countries, and flights are regularly scheduled from neighboring countries as well as the countries away from the neighbors, like flights from India travel to America, Canada, all places to the world. And again, Air India is the government air company of India. It is used as international carrier. That means Air India travel in domestic as well as in international places also. Indira Gandhi International Delhi, Indira Gandhi Airport Mumbai, Meena Kumbham Chennai, Dum Kolkata, and Thiruvananthapuram. These are the major airports which are present in India. Apart from this, 92 major international minor and are meshed for domestic air traffic. So airport system are developing day by day in India also. So we'll see this later sometime. That means how many or whatever, or how these air transport are developing or flourishing in a country. Next important kind of transportation is pipeline transport. So we have already discussed what is the significance of this pipeline. So crude petroleum and refined derivatives of natural gases, these are used for transportation using pipeline from one country or one places to other places. The benefit of this kind of transportation is that very less people are required for maintenance of pipeline transport, and there are few pumping station made which are generally from 65 to 240 kilometer range. This is the range. That means after 65, or you can say between the range, like somewhere of 100 kilometer, you can say after 100 kilometer a pumping station would be made, so that the oil or the natural gas whichever are being transported using this pipeline can move smoothly, because the distance which it covers are very large, since it is being transported from one country to another country and sometime within continents. Okay. And it can move in any area. It can be made in deserts, water bodies, mountains. So the physical feature doesn't hamper the pipeline transport. Okay, so this was all about pipe transport. Now we'll talk about India. What is transportation system in India? So India again is a developing country, and very cheap and efficient transport has to be there. So for that very purpose, we have all kind of transportation available in India, like railways, road, air transport, waterways. We have everything, and we'll study them in detail. So the geographical area of India is very huge, as we know. In north, starting from Jammu and Kashmir, it ends in south in Kanyakumari, that is in Tamil Nadu. Again, in west we have Gujarat, and in east we have Arunachal Pradesh in northeast part. So the geographical location or area of India is very huge. For that very purpose, we need a good transportation system. So as I said, we have all kind of transportation system. We'll read them one by one. Starting with railways. So Indian Railway, it's the main country in land transport. You know, we as bees ourselves use lots of railway for transportation, because it is connected everywhere. Almost it is connected to every part of a country, and this system is used for transportation of goods as well as humans also. And it is considered as a backbone surface transport system of India, because railways are most extensively used for transportation either of goods or human beings from one place to another place, since it is very cheaper if we compare to the other modes of transport, may it be road transport, water transport, or air transport. We don't have lots of water transport developed within the country, but we have air transport, road transport, and railway transport, out of which railway transport is the cheapest if we compare with the other kind of transport. Fine. Now these rail traffic, or you can see these railways are used for passenger or freight means the goods which are travel from one place to another. So these goods may consist of coals are the major goods which are being transported from one place, from mines to the places where it can be used. Apart from this, we have several industries which produce several kind of goods like transformer, some electric wires, and if we talk about the other products, so there are many companies which are producing like utensils, you can say any industry, paper industry. So whatever goods are being produced in companies, they will be transported from the company to consumer area using the railway. And even apart from this, this passenger trains are also there. These passenger trains are divided in several categories according to comfort level. So what are those categories? Those categories are ordinary passenger train, express or mail train, superfast train, Rajdhani Express, and Shatabdi and Jan Shatabdi train. And apart from this, we have a very significant railway connection, that is Sampark Krantri Express trains. So these trains, they are introduced, which are connecting the capital of all the states in India. And apart from this, we have a computer reservation system for ticketing. As you know, whenever you have to go from one place to another place and you want to reserve your seat, you can reserve your seat online. You don't need to go to window for reservation. Although we have that option, but still you can book your ticket online also. Now there are certain fast moving trains. So till now the fast moving trains are not built in India. It is built in one route, but plans are there. There are plans to build high speed train between Delhi to Agra, Delhi Chandigarh, Delhi Kanpur, Nagpur Bilaspur, Mysore, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Goa. So these are the routes where high speed trains are to be built in future. Fine. Next is bullet train. So bullet train, you know this very well. In Japan, this concept has been brought from Japan. In India also, it was very much in news that India is building a bullet train by taking loan from Japan. It was built between Gujarat and Mumbai. Fine. So this project was taken. It was started in somewhere September 2017, and the distance in which this bullet train was made, it has to travel through 509 kilometers, out of which 156 kilometers was in Maharashtra, 351 kilometers in Gujarat, and 2 kilometers in Daman and Diu, which is a union territory. This project was about to be ready in August 2022, but now due to Corona, we don't think so that it would be ready by this timeline. And what else? And yes, and this bullet train, this was very economical, beneficial for our country, that it would create 20,000 construction job, 4,000 operation job, and 20,000 indirect jobs. So as you can see, it will serve a very important role for our employment sector in our country. Next, and the other bullet trains which are being planned till now, the bullet train which have been started making, it was from Gujarat to Mumbai. The other routes which are being planned are Delhi Mumbai route, Mumbai Central, Mumbai Chennai, Mumbai Nagpur, Delhi Kolkata, Delhi Chandigarh, Delhi Nagpur. Fine. And the speed of these bullet train would lie somewhere from 320 kilometers to 350 kilometers per hour. This would be the speed of these trains. Now freight traffic again means the transportation of the goods or the raw materials from one place to another place. So railways are used for transporting these kind of goods. So those goods, what are those goods? These includes coal, iron, steel, ores. Fine. And apart from this, petroleum products means the products which are made from petroleum, and food grain, fertilizer, cement, sugar, salt, edible, these are also comes under freight, and they are transported from one place to another place using railway transportation system. Next is dedicated freight corridor. So several corridors are being built for transportation of goods from one place to another place using railway line. So there are majorly two corridor. Eastern dedicated freight corridor, and the other is dedicated freight corridor. Western dedicated freight zone. Sorry. So the areas which are lying in eastern part of the country would come under this corridor, and the areas which are lying in the western part of the country would come under this corridor. Apart from this, a dedicated freight corridor cooperation of India Limited has been implemented for the project. So this will be responsible for implementing this corridor project in India. There are some other factual information, like what would be the areas where this will be covered, what would be the product cost. You can see all those things over here. Next is metro rail. So if you are living in Delhi, you must be very much aware of metro rails. Apart from Delhi, now it has been developed in Mumbai as well as in Lucknow, and earlier initial period it was there in Mumbai and in Kolkata, but in Delhi we have the first modern kind of metro rail. It has been in operation since 2002, and apart from this we have a rapid metro in Gurgaon, which is first privately owned metro railway in India. Now there are several states are also planning for developing railway metro lines in their own states wherever there is huge population and transportation systems required. And there are many benefits of this metro rail. If you are in Delhi, you must be knowing the benefit that the traffic congestion, it reduces a lot traffic congestion on the road, and it is very easy mode of traveling, and it's cheaper, it saves a time. So these are all the benefits of these metro. Next is roadways. So this is also very much important for traveling, and roads have been existing. Roads is nothing new in India. It has been existing right before 5,000 years. From 5,000 years, all kind of road have been existing in India. It was started by Ashoka and Chandragupta. Ashoka and Chandragupta were the kings in medieval period. They played a very important role for construction of road, but it was not very successful. They got real progress in period of this Mughals were very important, who built all kind of roads in India. The Grand Trunk roads were also built by the Mughals. We know the GT road, which joins Kashmir to Kanyakumari. You might have heard this road. So these roads were built by the Mughals. Now we have Sher Shah Suri was a prominent king in Mughal period. He made a road which connected Peshawar to Kolkata, which was named as GT road. And presently this is known as Sher Shah Suri Marg. Fine. Now the classification of road, that means how many types of roads we have. So generally we have 4 types of road. Those are the national highway, state highway, district roads, and village roads. So these are the basic classification of roads. Now what are these highways? Highways means the roads which are constructed and managed by Central Public Work Department. There is a particular department for maintaining these kind of road. So these are generally made by which are connecting all these states, big cities, important big railway junction, and all these are covered with national highway. And even the borders, the country has land borders with several countries, so there also national highways are made. There are several projects which have been made for development of this national highways, like Bharatmala project. The aim of this Bharatmala project, which was established in July 31, 2005, its aim was improving roads connectivity in coastal, border areas and backward area, religious place, tourist place, construction, rehabilitation, widening of about 15,000 bridges and 200 railways over railway under bridges and national highways. So under Bharatmala project, these roads has to be constructed so that all the parts of India, whether it be the backward area, border area, coastal area, could be connected with roads. Next is Setu Bharatam project. Setu Bharatam project means, Setu means bridge. So aim of this project was that so that the national highways are connected and all kind of these flyovers are made so that the interruption of railways are negligible. There should be no interruption of railway. You might be traveling on road and you have seen the stoppage of these railway lines. So these, to avoid this stoppage on highways, these Setu Bharatam project program was launched on 4th March 2016. Fine. And what its aim? Its aim is building bridges for safe and seamless travel on NH, and the main objective of this program is to make a national highway free of railway crossing. So there should be no railway crossing on the national highway. For that very purpose, this Setu Bharatam program was launched. Next kind of road is state highways. So by the name itself it is clear, the roads which are connecting the states, and they are not connecting by the states, actually they are made in within the states, and they are managed by state government. So the roads which are being made under state, for example in UP, all kind of roads which are made, they will be managed by state highway, state government. And there are another few functions, you can say, it's not function, factual information, you can read yourself. Next is district roads. So the roads which are managed by district, or you can say Zilla Parishad, those roads would be called as Zilla Parishad. And again last is the village road. Village road would be managed by the village panchayat, and the panchayat leader, whoever are there, they have to be responsible for making the village road. Fine. And whatever information, the factual information are there, you can read on your own. These are given in website www.pdf.org. So this is the website where you can read all these information. Next is air transport. So air transport in India. What is air transport? We have discussed. How these air transport, that also we have discussed. And for specific purpose, we have Air Authority of India. This authority is responsible for managing whatever air transportation system is there in India. It was Airport Authority of India and National Airport Authority. There were two agencies or two organizations. They were merged together on 1st April 1955 and formed Airport Authority of India. Fine. And at present, if we talk about present scenario, we have 450 airports, airstrip, and 30 are international. Out of these 450, we have 30 international airport and 26 civil enclave. Civil enclave means the airports which are used for defense purpose. 3 are international, 4 custom, 19 domestic, and 31 non-operational domestic airport. Fine. Udan. So there is a scheme launch which is called as Ure Desh Ke Aam Nagrik. By the name itself clear that the common people, they can use air transportation to travel from one place to another place. Since air transportation is very costly in nature, that's why the scheme was launched. And the main scheme, objective of the scheme is that to make the flight cheaper. Fine. So under Udan there are 70 airports and 128 routes, and there are 100 more unserved airports to be connected in next round of bidding. That means till now at present we have 70 airports and 128 routes. Later 100 more routes will be added in under this scheme in next phase. Okay. And there is a national civil aviation policy also. Civil aviation policy, these policy determine the policies of all kind of airline companies which are present in India, so that they don't go beyond their limits. Next kind of transportation is water transport. We have already discussed about the water transport. So we don't have much built water transport in India. So in India, the total length of navigable waterway is 14,500 kilometers, out of which 3,700 kilometers navigable by merchandise boat. That means big boats can travel only in 3,700 kilometer route. Apart from this, small ships can travel. So the inland waterway comprises of river, canal, backwaters, creeks, etc. And 2,000 kilometers of these are actually used for transportation of goods. Fine. So this was about the waterway. We have one national waterway. Again, these are the factual information from where the waterway start, what is the distance, like 120 kilometers, the 6th national waterway. So how many national waterway we have? It is over here. We have 10 important national waterway which are given the status of national waterway, and they have several connection, like 5 inland waterway have been declared as national waterway. And what are they? Barak River, Lakhan, what is this? Lakhpur and Bhanga, which is 121 kilometer, and this is considered as a 6th waterway under construction. This is still under construction. So you can read this information over here. These are very important. So since these are factual, you should know the direction. You don't read the factual information over here. What you can do, you can just take the map. You can take the map of national waterway. It's not given on this website, or else I could have shown you. You can take the map of national waterway and you can locate them which states they are connecting. For example, if we have Brahmaputra water inland waterway, so you can see where this Brahmaputra river move and what waterway use and which states are being connected through these waterways. So you can use this map and understand the system. Fine. Ports we have seen Ram Setu, Ram Setu. This is a mythological bridge which was being built between Sri Lanka and India. So you know about this very well. So our Indian government are being on the line of developing a bridge between India and Sri Lanka that would be called as Ram Setu or Setu Samudram. So that's all for today's video. Let me see if anything else is left. Yes, finished. So that's all for today's video. If you have got any queries regarding today's topic, you can ask in the comment box. I'll try to answer them in next video. See you next video with new topic. Till then, goodbye.